The world of mixed martial arts is heating up after this weekend's UFC 270. For the first pay-per-view back for the year, UFC 270 did not disappoint to living up to the hype it had received for weeks now. After this weekend, viewers saw one champion fall after a controversial loss and one retain his high-level status after taking home the belt again. My name is Jude Wozniak, and welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I am joined alongside Juan, Mendez, and Michael Botton. Let's start with the welterweight division, where viewers saw Pereira take home the victory. What do you think about this fight, and what did you see from Pereira to take home this win?
Well, this one was very meaningful because of his character. Pereira's character was very talked about before this fight because not only what he does in the ring, but just the way he trains and the things he does afterwards. He likes to do flips. He's an acrobat. He's a showman. That's what he likes to do. That's why everybody put his name above Fiala's name. And, well, did he perform? He absolutely did because in the beginning he started slow, but then he demonstrated that he's a serious fighter too, that you have to take him seriously, and if he keeps winning, he's into consideration for moving on the ranks. Now, in this fight, it was very tough in the beginning because Fiala got a lead on him. He showed him why he's such a good young fighter as well. And Pereira just overtook that, landed a few high knees, as we see in the picture, just showed out, as he should, because that's what he trains for. That's why his character is so valuable for the UFC. So that's what I got to say about Pereira.
For sure. You know, when you look at these two fighters, Fiala versus Pereira, Fiala is very technical, right? He really likes to punch heavy. That's his offensive attack. And when you look at Pereira, he's big into the kicks. He's very defensive, but he does like to land those leg blows. The fight started out in Fiala's favor, right? It was very technical. It was very punch heavy, but Pereira was able to land those leg kicks. Now, that hurt Fiala in the end because his legs were so weak that he barely could stand under his own power. And so that ultimately helped Pereira win that fight.
Yeah, great points, guys. And honestly, if you think about it, UFC 46 Vegas, Pereira was supposed to be fighting Salkov, but he backed out last minute. And then Fiala was supposed to be in that fight as well, but he got COVID. So it's incredible for him to be able to still step up and be able to come for UFC 270, the first pay-per-view of the year, and still show out. Now let's get into one of the biggest fights of the night, and it's the heavyweight match, where we saw champion Ngannou come out with the win. I'm going to throw it to you, Michael, and I'm going to just say Ngannou was not favorited in this game. He was an underdog. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, for sure. You know, when you look at this fight on paper, you have power versus technique. Ngannou is the power, while Gane is the technique. And so what was really interesting about this fight is that Ngannou was doing what he does best. He was using that right hand, landing those blows, getting home. Now, when we fast forward to the third round, I think this is really where there was a turning point in this fight because Ngannou was able to have a takedown on a perfectly timed kick by Gane. Now, this is something that fans do not understand of how big of a deal it is. Ngannou is not known for his wrestling abilities, so when you add this dimension on top of an already fierce competitor, I'd be scared if I'm a future fighter wanting to go against Ngannou in the future.
Absolutely. It's almost like he's unstoppable in Ngannou. He went away for about a year to celebrate in Cameroon, his hometown, after beating Stipe Miocic. He went down for a year. Everybody was wondering what's next about Ngannou, what's going to happen. And he came to this fight against one of the young, like you said, skillful, talented fighters, very technical, very fast, from France. And Gane really showed out in the beginning as well. He showed him what he was about. But he didn't expect that every time he would attempt a takedown, that Ngannou was going to be ready for it. Ngannou was there, was present. He's been working on the grappling and the wrestling, and that was very evident, and that definitely gave him the edge in this fight because he also tired him out. He tired out Gane. That's why he went to decision, 5 rounds, because he's known to be a knockout artist, but Ngannou just outperformed him, outlasted him, and that's why even at the end of the fight, Gane knew that he was defeated, and Ngannou was going to win once again.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Ngannou really showed up in this fight, and just like I said, I can't believe he was an underdog in this fight, and as the champion. Now, let's get to what we've all been waiting for. Moreno versus Figueroa 3. And in these first two fights, they were incredible. Seeing in the first fight being a draw, and in the second fight, actually Moreno taking the belt away from Figueroa. Juan, viewers have seen 3 fights now, as I've said. What do you think about this last fight, and do you possibly think that this could be one of the greatest rivalries in UFC right now?
Oh, absolutely. This is without a doubt one of the greatest rivalries, at least in this division. And let me tell you why. Because Moreno, he won the second fight, and he took that title to Mexico. He became the first Mexican-born champion in the UFC ever. There's been fighters like Cain Velasquez who beat Junior Dos Santos in another Mexico against Brazil rivalry in around 2010, that era that he had. But this is the first Mexican-born fighter. And he did this not only for his wife, his 3 kids, he did it for an entire country that, as he mentioned in interviews, he put the entire country on his back. He felt all that pressure, and he was able to win and bring that home, and everybody appreciated it to him because, as we know, Canelo Alvarez basically owns Mexico in terms of boxing and martial arts and such. But he was able to bring this back. Now, that is why the entire narrative of the story was basically this fighter, Figueroa, being the villain of it all, because what he did is he was mad. He was upset that this guy, this young guy, who was actually nicknamed the baby-faced assassin, took his title just like that. And he was mad, and he trained with Henry Cejudo, who was a winner in the same division a while ago, who actually trained Moreno a while before. So he became the villain of this entire narrative, and he just outperformed them in this fight. He was able to withstand the left hands by Moreno, and he was able to connect with a kick, connect with a right that knocked him down, and just outperform him as well. So if I have to say something right now, is that there's definitely a narrative for this to be for there to be a 4th fight. I don't know how many times it has happened, but this was the fight of the night for a reason, and one of my favorite fights and stories ever in the UFC.
Juan, I'm going to answer your question right there. There has never been a match that has gone to 4 rounds, and I think that this could be the first one. I want to look at this fight specifically, though. It was a dogfest. This was incredible. Moreno, right out the gate, he was powerful, he was fast, he was strong, he was landing blows left, right, and center, and it seemed like Moreno was going to dominate for the rest of the fight. But then you have the underdog, Figueroa, climbing up the mountain. He slowly fought his way back. In the 3rd round, he had a takedown to end the round that absolutely rattled Moreno. And from that point forward, Moreno was not the same. There was no looking back for Figueroa. You go into that 5th round, Figueroa absolutely dominated, sealing the deal for himself. And like you said, I hope there is a 4th round of this matchup.
You guys are completely right. And you got to think now. First match is a draw. Second match, Moreno comes out with the victory. And the 3rd match, Figueroa comes out with the win. It is 1 to 1 to 1. There has to be a 4th fight. And like I said, I feel like this is probably one of the greatest rivalries in UFC to date. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for this week's episode of UFC on Penn State Sports Night. For Juan Mendez, Michael de Botton, I'm Jude Wozniak, and have a great night.
Thank you for watching this edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also, follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.